All right. Haven't seen any of these teams before.
Yep.
Again, it's possible that they have scrimmed before. They might know a little bit about each other that we don't know, but I really do expect to see some of the same top bands that we saw last time. I think the four bands that we saw last time, we saw Kronos, Yorm, Merlin, and AMC,
Even
and I wouldn't
AMC.
be surprised at all to see those same four bands.
Yeah, coming out with the Cronus band. I said Cronus is a really potent pick. You can do all the things that you want in the world, be out of position, and still be safe. So it's a really safe pick in a way.
Right,
I'm taking
essentially
that
getting a
out.
second life with that ultimate.
And here it looks like Zodiac is taking Merlin. Arthur off.
Taking out Merlin. Yeah, it looks like they choose to second ban Arthur, which again, at this lower level, the lower you go in terms of playstyle, I think the better Arthur gets. He's a very pub stompy character if you don't know how to properly focus him.
Yeah, CC chaining like to perfection is the way of killing him. And your
Yep.
common top band is also Jorm, which they like to take out. I'm
Yeah, right
interested to see
now,
the first pick. What they're gonna
in
opt
my
for here.
opinion, it should definitely be AMC if they're comfortable with it, but it's possible that they don't value that pick. AMC can definitely be a difficult character to play just because of his lack of mobility in the early game.
Yeah, AMC is like a type of a character that
AM, okay.
it's sorry, type of a character that you need to play mindful in a way, in positioning wise, or else it's easily prone to get picked. So here
For sure.
incoming Bellona. NA seems to like Bellona a lot. Do you like Bellona for solo? What do you say?
I think she's definitely a top 5, maybe even a top 3 solo laner right now. And really easy to pick up, really low skill floor, and even sort of a low skill ceiling in my mind. It's kind of just, to engage, you ult in. If you want lifesteal, you use this. It's very, very straightforward in
Yeah.
my mind. Surprised that we haven't seen Erlong put on a little more of a pedestal down here. He can definitely, similarly to Arachne, he can definitely be one of the more snowbally junglers.
Yeah, for sure. Erlang is really a top prominent pick in higher level games. I'm eager to see how they pull this off here. If they look to go for Erlang jungle, that's where his key potential is, and that
Yep.
is why he's also getting a nerf next patch on his one
Right.
because of the absurd amount of damage that he's gonna be doing with his expose evil or something. That's the name. But
Expose me.
Soul and
Oh,
Janus locked in. Huh.
you're a little
Soul
bit ahead
instead
of
of
me.
Freya.
But
All
that's
right, I'm sorry. It's all
no,
right.
it's okay.
They locked for the blue team. They locked in Soul and Janus, and Soul instead of Freya. Do you really value that?
I think it can at this level, especially. I think it can be more of a personal preference, but I am a little bit surprised by it. Freya just right now is a really, really top pick. Exerts a ton of pressure in lane. Has basically a get out of jail free card with her ultimate. Has a lot of setup with her 3. Just brings a ton to the table. And I would definitely choose Freya over Soul here. But again, we did talk about earlier comfort picks over everything at this level of play. And so I think if Chaos is comfortable, or whoever, I'm not sure their ADC is, but if he's comfortable with with Soul over Freya, then I definitely I value that pick.
And they have Sunnos look in for the ADC role, along with Womana, maybe going for the solo lane. And
Right.
I like this. I haven't seen many Womanas being played often. He's still a good prominent pick. His mana management is a few issues of him that I see most of the times occurring. But other than that, he's a really great character because his 3 is essential right now. His 3 gives attack speed reduction actually. So if he were to focus Soul, it will also reduce his basic attacks and look to maybe if he were to build Fatalis, he can smack with his little umbrella
Right.
and look to assert pressure like that. Second
Vamana
phase fix.
is for sure one of those pub stompy characters in my mind. I think that one of the reasons that he has not seen so much in the top level competitive scene is because if you get something like Curse Donk, or if everybody builds anti-heal, he's one of the characters to focus in the game because Zolt doesn't give him nearly the sustain that he's expecting it to. But at this level of play, it could be just, he could walk through the opposition.
Yeah. Speaking of anti-heal and healing in general, I'm surprised that none of the teams have picked Afro yet. Isn't that so fun to go against? So glad that you have some sort of a morale, at least so far.
Yeah, Afro. I'm also surprised both here and in higher levels of play. I'm a little bit surprised to not see as much Afro as we've been seeing. I personally think she's pretty strong right now and can really facilitate a dive comp. Something like the Erlong Shen jungle or the Vamana both are expected to be diving the backline. We could even see them pick up an Aphrodite here on the
Yeah.
side of We Took That.
Aphrodite is a much worse Chronos, I would say. Not worse, I mean much better. Because instead of having a second life for one person, she makes sure that there's two lives, two people,
For sure. In
Here.
terms of that ultimate, it definitely, instead of one free life, you get two free lives.
Yeah. And it's
Uh,
really.
but yeah,
Ooh.
generally just different focuses for the character. But I do like. Well, okay, I like having the sustain from Afro on the dive comp. The one thing that I'm a little bit questionable of, if they were to pick it into this team comp, is that anti-heal on the enemy team just gets more and more valuable. I mean, you're already going to be building anti-heal for the Vamana, and so you don't have to change your build necessarily to build into the Aphrodite. So I'm glad that they didn't go with that. Interesting, Camazot's being hovered here by Zodiac. Bologna's locked in, so I think that's probably going to solo lane. So we look to see Camazot's jungle. Seems really
Unless.
interesting to me. Yeah.
Unless it's Bellona's port.
Or Bologna. Oh, I guess that's a valuable point. They do have double magical here. So we
They could
could
look
see
to.
an aggressive support like Bologna. Or
But
even a Bologna jungle. All three roles have been flexed in the past in competitive play before.
my main concern right now for Zodiac is the lack of immediate. And except
Immediate.
the Janus combo. Yeah. Oh, here comes the CC I was talking about that I needed to see. So glad if they look to pick this Athena, it'd be a solid comp all around for Zodiac.
Yeah, I don't know because the issue actually, okay, so I was going to say the issue with the Athena is that if you're looking for dash taunts, as soon as the enemy team has don't have any other CC to burn that Magi's, Athena's really going to be struggling to hit these consistent dash taunts. But Bologna, one of the best Magi's cloak burners in the game because of her range disarm. So if they can be executing that well and try and keep track of the enemy team's beads and Magi's, I think they might be able to get off some early game and late game plays here.
Yeah.
We
So
didn't
far,
talk
we
about
don't.
the Morrigan on the
Hmm?
right side. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
I don't know. Morrigan at this level is a hit or a miss. So whoever is playing Morrigan mid right now for team, we took that, or we take that. The mother he should be like zeros at this point, at this level at least. Like he should be the zeros equivalent of SLL level
For
to
sure.
make an impression with Morrigan, because Morrigan, even though it's a really good pick in terms of like late game, like deleting one person, you don't often get to that point that you will find an isolated person to pick off easily. So
Right.
getting through that nooks and crevices, get that pick, is the skillful art of playing Morrigan. So let's see if took that mid laner, got that, and transforming into right characters at the right time is also a key element of playing Morrigan.
Agreed.
What I'm worried of is the area damage, or we took that right now, which is
Right.
kind of lacking aside from the Cernanos. I would like to say the old is the Hera Silence. So the Hera
Yeah.
Silence is almost literally the same. So so far we took that. That's like they focus one target and look to kill them. And let's see if they will have success in chasing that one target instead of almost having area damage for all. And
Yep.
we'll see this by getting into this game. Be right back.
All right, welcome back. Game one for We Took That versus Zodiac. Zodiac's gonna be on the left side of your spectator UI. We Took That's obviously gonna be on the right. Looks like Bologna solo here and Kamazot's jungle as we predicted. I'm really nervous though, I gotta tell you. With two magical carries in Giannis and Soul, I'm just not sure that Kamazot's and Bologna are gonna be able to put out the physical damage that this team needs.
I agree. The Camasots can only do so much later into the game with assuming that we took that will build anti-heal also, which is a prominent part, like trying to outplay somebody as Camasots. You rely on that immediate burst heal that you get from the jump, to maxing it. We'll see
Right.
if they were able to play smartly and try to pick off each target from Zodiac. But at the end of the line, here on We Took That, they have full, I would say, a balanced comp. They kind of have a little bit of peel from the Kumba, and they have full dive from the jungler and solo. In a way, it's looking balanced compared to Zodiac. But if this Janus pops off and he becomes like Oboronic from console,
Yeah.
it's gonna be pretty deadly if you ask me.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. Looks like in the dual lane as well, We Took That's looking to be real aggressive. Kumba has started the upgraded sprint. And so you might take advantage of the Chronos pressure. Looks like Soul gets rooted out here, taking a lot of damage. Pops the upgraded sprint, but the shell is popped. Nice basics from Chronos. I don't think he missed a basic in that entire sequence, and they're able to get the first blood on the Soul.
And nice focus also from target. Athena did try to get in front, but the
Right,
lack of
Athena did her
mobility.
best.
Yeah, she had Shell, I believe, upgraded fully. I'm not sure. It doesn't seem
Uh,
like so.
Not upgraded,
But
yeah. She ended
yeah,
up getting. I think she started the game with 8 health pots, which I'm not sure how I feel about. But
yeah,
because of that first blood, they do manage to invade the purple buff. We'll have to see how this pressure keeps up.
yeah, indeed. Well, one different pattern that we have noticed from the last set. The last set, support started at solo lane, right? And now this
Right.
set,
Yeah.
we're having the regular start. What's the main difference between the solo start and the normal duo start? What's the main difference?
It's really the experience difference in my mind. It's just the fact that, I mean, we saw Uller last game be level 17, 18 by the end of the game. He was miles ahead of the rest of his team. Same with the game before that. We were seeing the ADCs be level 17 and 18, and the solo laners. Oh, looks like a gank here. Kamazot slows Kumba, and he gets taunted as well back in, and they do hit the Kumba passive. That should be a guaranteed kill. Kronos can't really come back into that. And on the other side of the map, however, Erlang looks like he ganked solo lane successfully and was able to get a kill
Yeah,
on the
simultaneously
Bologna.
both ganks. It's a very satisfying feeling once you has a jungle when you gank and you actually get the kill compared to pushing them off.
Right.
Even though if it's like a successful attempt, like pushing them off is also good enough for most scenarios, so you can go and invade their jungle. But what if their jungle is down as well? So yeah, having those type of ganks is really satisfying as jungle. So you know you've been
Yeah.
at the right place at the right time. Kumba managed to steal that with the groggy strike.
City, really, very nice.
Interesting.
Very good for him,
Poorly
honestly.
timed by Soul on the DPS. They should have waited for the burst so they could have cured it, but unfortunate. So far, it's looking like a very passive, mostly heavy jungle style game. The junglers are controlling this early part. And the laners, as we saw, we got first blood in duo lane with the Kumba and Cernanos, and we took that.
Yeah, interestingly enough, they got the first blood, and now they're in the position of being a little bit out pressured. Zodiac is at their, or was at their tower line. They're now backed up a little bit, but they have the wave clear advantage. It looks like Sprint is back up, so I'm interested to see if they're gonna try and take a fight here in the next couple of
Yeah,
minutes.
Erlang is also looking to rotate and gank, and this
Yep, so
sprint
is
will be
Kamazotz.
heavily useful on this rotation right now.
Oh no. Okay, Athena goes into peel for the solo, but Erlang's here. Looks like, see if he can hit the root. Does hit the root. That should be an easy cleanup. Oh no, good shell
Ooh.
by the Athena, but yep,
Oh,
double
unfortunate.
root. double root from the Kumbhakarna. Wow, Giannis ult comes in, does a lot of damage, allows Camazotz to blink in. He's chasing with the ultimate. He doesn't hit any abilities on the Erlang though, just a little bit out of range, and he might get punished for it. He's stuck up in the top half of the lane without any mana. Winning the basic attack trade though, Athena hits the double taunt, but it's just not enough.
Ooh.
Not enough follow-up damage from the Camazotz. Looks like he was a little bit low on mana when he went into that fight initially, which didn't allow him to follow up.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that, but Cernos there, I think he panicked. And another solo kick coming up for Oh No Skies against the Bellona as the Wamana. But I think the Cernos panicked and beats that ult. He thought the ult that was going to hit was the Janus from the other team, the Zodiac's Janus. But it was, in fact, their Morrigan ulting them to try to get them out if they were to get aggressed on. A major key factor was in that fight was when the Janus ulted the Camazotz in, he started the fight with no mana. He had enough mana only for his ult.
Yeah,
so that fight was a lost fight anyway. It's such a waste of relics expenditure, and also the ult, a waste of time in general. Can't really gank with no mana.
Right.
You need to have mana.
Yeah, a little bit of a they kind of jumped at the opportunity. Like they had just lost a player. The mindset is like, I have to counterattack now, but counterattacking just for a couple wasted ultimates, wasted relic is just not good. Looks like we might have had a fight in mid there, but
in that corner.
Yeah,
a really good portal by the Janus saved the Camazotz. Actually, the Morrigan was wrapping around for the stun, but since the portal took Morrigan out of her channeling and put her to the portal, she misses the stun and Camazotz was able to get out. Really good peel from the team for Zodiac.
Yeah. Interesting, Camazotz has decided to forego boots and chosen to just start Crusher right away. So clearly looking to make an impact here, but he's really got to be careful with his positioning. The lack of mobility may come back to bite him.
Yeah, I do not like this, like opting for a power item instead of boots. This is not Joust. In Joust, it's acceptable. It's common to get a starter item, then look for a damage item. That is because you're going to hit 5 at the time you get that power item, and you will 100% fight with the ult. So rather than mobility, you value the power. That is in Joust. But in Conquest, getting some levels out is much slower, and farming the map is the main key for being efficient in gaining levels. So for that, you need mobility, and that comes in the form of boots. And Erlang having the Talaria boots, which will get a nerf soon by 5% in the next patch, is mainly because how prominent it is in farming.
Definitely, Athena does manage to get out. Not much happening. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, but pretty much it. That boots are a really important part of farming, especially the Conquest map, and try to out-rotate. Is a key element in ganking as well, and especially on junglers is the most important aspect, right? Movement speed. They even nerfed the speed buff because it was OP. So junglers are definitely getting a hit, mainly for a reason.
Yeah, completely agree. Looks like Erlang might try and go in on the Oceanus here. Doesn't manage to get in range of the root, but I believe he did get that timer on the red buff, so expect him to be back here in 2 minutes.
Erlang is playing super aggressive into the Zodiac's jungle. I expect this Athena to back up and ward their own side of the jungle to expect possible ganks that is going to come over. Because Erlang is just trying to push his early presence. Erlang is super strong early because of his 1 and the pin combo that almost like guaranteed one shot combo compared to Camazotz in a way.
Yeah, looks like I believe every single ward on the map right now, except for one placed in solo lane from Vamana, I believe.
Yeah, there's a fight going on right now. Camazotz gets caught. He jumps into it, and he has to use his ult to spend it, and gets out. Ooh! Janus gets sniped by himself in a way. Morrigan takes the transformation up. I think Athena is also going to hit the ground here. But she shells herself. Maybe she might get out. Not really. She hits the floor as well. That fight was very weird to take, because Camazotz saw that opportunity and he jumped in instead of jumping out with no boots. We took that,
he only
realized
had tier 2 boots at that point. Looks like a little bit of a... I'm not sure why they went in here. Gold tree fight, though.
I think they're gonna.
Giannis ults. He does miss the ult, but Camazotz and Sol are both here. Red team does get it a little bit late on the blink from the Camazotz, but he does manage to get the kill. Oh, he even gets Kumba into the passive there, but he does get cleaned up by the Erlong. But still, that's a 2-for-1 trade, and it's really, really good to get the mid laner there.
Yeah, I think Zodiac stopping there was a mistake. Athena could have definitely dashed in and chased out on that Cernanos. At least look to get his beads out of the way
Yeah.
for our next potential future fight. And it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity that missed out on Zodiac. But overall, the cleanup was good. We took that should have booted. As soon as you get a Gold Fury, you don't look to start a fight. Mainly because you have used all your abilities to secure that objective. And it'll be down for possibly 8 seconds, from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. And if you use a Guardian ability, that is like 16 seconds with no CD, that's why you usually take an objective. You look to back off immediately and not stay there lingering around, because you're prone to get dumped on by opposition abilities while you got none, and you can't use it to peel yourself or get out.
Yeah, especially with their low levels of health. I still want to go back to that fight in the top. Oh, there might be a fight going on the right side here. Yep. Looks like Bologna was able to get soloed. Yes. Great rotation from the Erlang to come in and not only solo the Bologna, but he was able to peel the Camazotz a little bit. But it looks like Vamana chose to go back in here. He ults in, but he gets sniped by Giannis. A global cross-the-map snipe from the mid lane is able to take the Vamana, which is unfortunate for him. And Giannis goes through the portals, comes over, is able to get the totem. I'm glad that they're not aggressing further, just because of a level disparity there.
This Morgan is surprisingly out-rotating Janus, but by the time the Morgan rotates to lane, the fight is usually over, and Janus, for the most part, from the pattern of this game, is able to get at least one cleanup kill. So in a way, it's favoring him, but he overstays his welcome with no mana, and he gets killed. Unfortunate. He should realize. And the ADC kills the jungler on the gank attempt. Unfortunate. You hate to see that, or also be in that position. That's really a shame.
Yeah, it looks like the Kumba was over there, and the Athena wasn't, so the Kumba was just able to hit a root on the Camazotz, and the Camazotz may not have had ult up there. And it looks like I did say Erlong would be back up on the red buff at the next spawn. I think this is 2 spawns later. Luckily, Athena is able to actually secure that. Come over and prevent the red buff
secured that through the Morgan too. So that's impressive, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe impressive, maybe a little bit of luck. We're not 100% sure. Looks like Vamana is down here proxying at their Phoenix. And the only one here to react is actually Camazotz, so they get their speed buff stolen, but Bologna reacting perfectly in my eyes and stealing the enemy speed buff, so it's actually going to end up being a net neutral. They might look to continue this fight here with the Athena ult, but I'm not sure about that Athena ult if they're not going to continue. There might still be more fighting here. Bologna looks like she's pinching the Erlong here with the Giannis. Yeah, it doesn't look like
much happening. Yeah, it looks like a stale fight. Athena should have looked towards Sol there. I know the speed buffs got traded between the teams, but right now the duo side for We Took That have much more pressure and control on that side of the map, while having 2 buffs to their disposal. The blue, purple buff, and also the red one. In turn, having overall more farm distributed across them compared to Zodiac, and the support not getting much XP, but that requires in the immediate thought process when your team is calling to fight or position wise, you might get you don't think too much.
Giannis gets deleted there. Wow, just walking back to mid, not even really out of position, and he was at 75-80% health, and he just gets removed off of the map. Morgan immediately ults into the Giannis, portals through the wall. Looks to go on the Morgan here. I'm sorry, the Bologna here in the mid lane, and they're able to take out the Camazotz after he goes in maybe to save his Bologna, maybe to continue the fight. Looks like maybe they weren't on the same page there exactly. And after that, that's going to lead to what should be a free Pyromancer here.
Yeah. That fight, Morgan seemed like he prematurely ulted, and they still turned out to have a great use from it because because he turned into Janus and he's able to teleport across the map with the ult and the one that end up paying off and getting the Kamazot skill at their own tier 2 for Zodiac. Zodiac is slowly slipping in this game. How do they come back? It looks like they're gone. The 6k down? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. 6k is a pretty large gold lead. I really think one of the things that they can do to come back into it is try and focus on getting this next gold fury and really taking the fight afterwards. You discussed earlier how a lot of the teams are looking to use everything on the gold fury, use their cooldowns, and then back off. If Zodiac can maybe position in a way where they may or may not steal the gold fury, but the important thing in my mind is that they take and they win the fight after it, while the enemy team is lower in health, doesn't have as many cooldowns. I think that could be their ticket back into the game.
Yeah. And what another thing that I can think of is this Janus actually being a big part of stealing a potential future fire giant with the ult.
Yeah, they do have a little bit of steal potential for sure.
Yeah. And try to get his team back into this game, because right now, like, we took that are in driving seat and literally dictating this game, and slowly it's going their way. And speaking of, Athena is out of position and gets picked. It perfectly sets up for Gold Fury here.
Yeah.
And Janus also gets out of position and get caught. His portal, he gets through. I think he'll get chased. He'll have to be running.
Oh!
Ooh,
God,
double Janus was
close.
so close.
That was close.
That would have been a highlight play when the Janus ulted.
And the other ult came behind him. Yeah, that would have been a super highlight play. That would have been crazy. But yeah, I'm not even sure I would call that being out of position. I think I would just call that the red team, we took that using their lead appropriately, because I mean Athena gets caught out in her own jungle, Giannis gets caught out in his own jungle, so it's a lack of respect for what they can do, first of all, but it's also them using their lockdown properly. Kumba hit the root on Athena, Erlong hits the pin on Giannis, right? And so everybody's using their lockdown properly. Looks like Soul's getting collapsed on over here. Athena has to ult over to her. But just because of Soul's immunity, it looks like it's going to be a net neutral. Kumba has not been doing as much rotating, I think, as Athena has. But it's interesting that he's still 2 levels up. I guess he's just been a part of... There's been a lot of fighting over here in the duel lane. Both Gold Furies, in fact, came off of direct kills that Kumba was a part of.
True. And plus, the Erlang playing the way he's playing right now relieves a lot of pressure on support rotating in general. So it feels like another solo kill coming in for the Bellona, but...
yeah, but it looks like Morgan ults into Giannis and tries to get some damage over there. And he does hit the Point Blank ultimate and is able to remove him from the map. Giannis ults over... Yeah, Bellona's doing her best. But she's getting outclassed a little bit by this. Wow, Giannis, that was a max range Morgan stun. I thought for sure that wasn't going to hit, but it barely hits, and they're able to get that damage off. I'm not even sure I blame Giannis there entirely. Like, obviously he could have been a little bit farther back, but man, he just barely gets caught out there. And it loses his life for it.
Every time this Bellona gets close and soloing the Bomada, he ults out and somehow his team comes and saves him. The Bellona gets no support. The jungle presence from this Kamazotz is missing. And the main thing that I think that Erlang Shang being superior over Kamazotz is the CC combo aspect, right? You have the knock up, the pin. He's one of the warriors that have CC. In a way, he's kind of OP. Compared to Kamazotz, where his abilities though is slowing a character. Not only that, now his rotation ability, his rotations have been also off. But so far, the Erlang is just running through this team of Zodiac. They need to stop it.
From the beginning, I wasn't a fan of not only this draft, but the Kamazotz pick in general. There's just so many better junglers, I feel like, that if you need the physical damage from a carry jungler, you can get a Ratatosk or you can get a Ravana, something like that can just really fight. But
Looks like the
Camazotz is...
Zodiac is gonna get collapsed on here and will go and
Oh,
hit the ground here. Yeah, he
yep.
overstayed. He shouldn't have been there without wards and
Stayed up a
confirmation
little
from
bit too
King.
aggressive.
Yeah.
Camazotz hits the ult. He turns around and hits the root, but it's just not enough.
Yeah. From behind comes Erlang. Maybe
Yeah, and
we will
Morgan
look to.
ults with Giannis up at the top. Again, that's the same thing that the actual Giannis did at the very start of the game, right? They get a kill over in the dual lane, and then Giannis ults, and Camazotz blinked through and used his ult, and this time Morgan ults on, at this point it's about 120, maybe close to a 100-second cooldown, and just wastes that ultimate for absolutely no follow up.
Now they're looking at tier 1 from Zodiac. A really good push, but Kumba is from behind. Soul is not careful.
Be a fight in mid here. Athena ults onto
But
the Bellona as Vamana ults in response, but looks like
I
not
think it was a
much.
misplay, and he meant to hold the Soul, I hope, but still, Soul
Oh
ends up
yeah,
hitting the
Soul
ground.
ends up pushing a little bit too far. Granted, he does get the tier 1 tower.
Well,
But
do you really need to commit like that when you're ahead? I mean, not ahead. Never mind. Yeah, I guess it's worth it for
doesn't
them.
need to commit, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a benefit. Erlang dives the backline, is able to get Giannis
Ooh, a
really
double
weak,
stun.
but at the same time, Bellona is the one that jumps into the backline on the other side and is able to get the Morgan and trades out his life. That's definitely a good trade considering he's the one behind and the Morgan is the one ahead. So good 1-for-1 there. But that's still going to end up in them getting...
I think they're going for the big fire. Nah, they wouldn't. It's such a shame. They
I don't
had the
think so.
potential
Knowing
for
that...
it.
Well, actually, they do know that Giannis doesn't have ult, so I think it could be something that they might
But
look
still
at, but it's
respecting it.
definitely risky. Looks like that they might just choose to push down this tier 1 tower with their ADC over here.
That's a really good call. Play it safe, get the safe objectives out of the way, and spread out. Push their lead slowly. They should all look to back here or pressure this tier 2.
But it looks like Zodiac has chosen to not respond to this tier 2 by defending it. Instead, looks like they're going for the Gold Fury. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I mean, I think the Gold Fury will give... Like, it gives about 1,500 gold, which the tier 2 tower gives about 1,500 gold, so pretty net neutral in terms of the gold received. But basically, what they're doing is they're trading map pressure, which lasts for the entire game, for one set of Oni waves that they're not going to be able to push up the map anyways.
Yeah,
Not a big
and now
fan of
they're
that.
starting off Fire Giant. Will they be able to successfully get this Fire Giant without any contest?
Doesn't hit the Fire Giant. Camazotz looking to steal, doesn't hit the ultimate in time. I believe that was Morgan securing it with the Giannis ult of her own. So good on them for actually having secure.
Zodiac tried coming from the back, and Amazon did try to come from the back and try to secure it, but at the end, Morgan Transformation has the Janus secured the Fire Giant. The ultimate does a great deal of damage.
Yeah, definitely good secure from the Morgan. Camazotz almost had that, but I think Fire Giant steals are much rarer than regular secures.
I don't know, compared to the previous set, we took that. Seems like a pretty solid team in terms of their calls and their positioning, and they're really, really confident in pulling that without hesitation. And makes them a really good team.
They're even pressuring here in mid without the Fire Giant. Interesting.
I don't agree with this, because a pressure like this can lead...
Upgraded sprints to the Bellona, but he misses the root on the Bellona, so it's kind of a wasted sprint in my mind.
Yeah. There, he should have sprinted earlier before they backed off to catch them off guard. That was the right play, but it was just delayed, in a way. I do not like Zodiac pushing up and trying to protect this tier 2. They need to back off and look at Phoenixes and not risk sacrificing any of their members, because they'll be essential for saving this game.
I think the game honestly is close enough that they can argue to defend tier 2s here, but they really have to be 5-man.
Speaking of the Oni Fury that Zodiac took is doing them some favors by pushing into the towers, if no one goes to check on these towers.
They might Kumba ults Athena into the air. She gets taken out by the Giannis ult, which also hits Soul into the backline. She's going to get her immunity off. Looks like there's going to be nothing else following that. But I think they should go for the tier 1 and tier 2 and left, if nothing else. and just get those towers. Should be uncontested after
Yeah.
getting a pick like Athena. The only thing is, if they overstay here, they might get Athena ulted, and the fight could turn with Athena coming back in. But it looks like Vamana is doing a fantastic job of zoning 3 people out, manages to solo Giannis in the middle of 3 people in the middle lane, while his team just gets a tier 1 and a tier 2 tower. What
You
a
hate
great
to
play
see it.
though with Vamana.
Janus didn't even use any of the relics to try to save himself, which is a very
Yeah.
unfortunate time to go down because they're looking to siege phoenixes, and the
Looks
best
like in the process of fighting this Vamana, they might get
they're
collapsed
gonna
on
collapse on.
the team. Yeah. Kamazot's manages to
Morgan
ult
connects the
out
stun
his
into Soul, and Bellona jumps in with the ult and cannot find anyone. Athena goes in. They might sacrifice both of their players. I think they're gonna get collapsed on. I think this might be the. Oh, they get the pick from Mana, who overextended and stayed there. He didn't have the ult to sustain back up. Only the Fire Giant healing, which is not enough. That was the fight.
Erlang
Very
gets a really
unfortunate.
nice taunt and finishes off Bellona. And Kuma manages to ulti Athena into the air, and she gets taken down as well. And this Phoenix just falls right after that.
And
Yeah.
Janus ults. Morgan ults has
clean him
Janus
up right
here.
here. This
Yeah.
might be the end of the game.
Yeah, this is the end. There's no ways. Clean game. Why we took that? They played really patient. They could have done much other things better, but by far the most superior set from what we have seen today.
Yeah,
we took that.
definitely.
It's definitely up there. One of the better teams in SLL.
Definitely seeing some really good things from that team. And despite, I do really think they played well, but I've said it, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I've said it a bunch of times, but I just really think they need to, Zodiac, I really think needs to take a step back and really reevaluate this pick ban phase. I get that the Soul might be a comfort pick, but you really need that physical damage coming out. And I just think the Kamazots just didn't do enough.
Yeah, and the solo lane, Bellona, Jamin was doing really good, but yeah, against this Vamana, but we took
Well, no,
that
he got
team.
soloed. Bellona got soloed.
Yeah, but he was doing well because
He was doing
the
well in
old.
fights. You're right.
Yeah, he
He
was
did
doing fine.
solid ults. He was using his disarm appropriately, but he just
Even
kind of
in
let
lane,
the Vamana get
even in
ahead.
lane, they just turned. Yeah, even in lane, Bellona was doing fine, but we took that always. The Morgan rotated, the Erlang rotated to save the Vamana and put him ahead, like keep him. They didn't let him die. So I expect Zodiac. Compared to last game we saw no solo presence in the losing team. So this game we see potential, very good solo presence from Zodiac. So I just want, Zurax to help this Bellona or Jamin to push that potential and get ahead from solo and pick much more safer picks. This Athena didn't seem too comfortable on Chaos. He'd been caught, like his ults were not on point most of the times, and he'd been always caught out of position. So he should look to get maybe a safer pick like Geb or something to keep his team and himself alive and to play more passively. And Zurak should look to pick a jungler with some C and not rely only on the mages that they had drafted, the Soul and Janus. And Soul is really obviously good early game and from ahead, but unfortunately Soul fell behind, and Soul is kind of not the greatest from behind.
Yeah. All right. Well, going into game 2 soon here. Stick around. Welcome back. This is game 2, Zodiac versus We Took That. Same spectator UI sides. We haven't switched. Zodiac has chosen to take the first pick. Yet again, last time they banned, I believe they banned AMC. Nope, my bad. Kronos. They banned Kronos first. This time they've chosen to ban King Arthur first. They'll probably still ban Kronos. Still a very good character.
Game 2 of set 2. For today. Exciting. So far, what do you think of the highlight plays, if you can think of any?
I was a massive fan of the Morgan. We talked about it during picks and bans, how it can be kind of a really hit or miss character at this level. You're either good with the character or you're not. And while I may have like to see a little bit more variation in the changes with the Morrigan ult. She always changed into Giannis. We didn't really need to see it. Every time she switched into Giannis, she hit somebody with that ult. She even managed to get the almost get the cross map kill on the fleeing Giannis, which would have been a super duper highlight play.
Yeah.
But cleared the fire giant with it. So in general, I was really really happy with that play, and I would honestly like to see her back on it.
Yeah, Morrigan is a really tricky character to manage at this level. And with comms, she does certainly get easier to play a little bit, but I didn't expect that type of performance from iFrey. So he really popped off on this Morrigan, so I would be really excited to see her back again on it. Talking of seeing Morrigan, we see AMC, which is a counter kind of to Morrigan, right? She gets exposed in her invis if the bees go to her.
Very good point. Very good point. AMC can struggle a little bit in terms of the early game pressure, though. Once he gets a couple items online, he has more pressure than just about anybody in the game. Once he hits level 7 or 8, not even a couple items, but a couple points into his abilities, he clears the lane basically instantly. But at the beginning of the game, Morgan has her 2 on basically, 7, 6 second cooldown. She basically outpressures just about anybody in that lane. So if AMC's not careful and allows Morgan or the jungler to get off to an early start, this pick could go poorly.
I agree. Right now, the Zodiac pick of Bellona has been snatched away by We Took That, who thinks can be a potential threat to them. I don't know if they took it away because of a threat or a possibility of playmaking with Bellona itself. But
Well,
either way,
it might be because Bologna has access to that Scourge, right? That disarm, and AMC normally known to be played in the mid lane. And so if we go AMC mid and then we see a soul dual lane or a magical ADC, then that disarm comes exponentially more powerful because you're now applying it to 2 hunters instead of just one.
and we see the Jorm slip by, and Zodiac looks to snatch that away. A little bit of discussion going on, but I really like the Jorman Gunner pick for solo. And more than support, I really hate it on. I hate him. Like I hate having him on support role because he doesn't peel anyone. So he's better
Yeah,
off with the damage on the two, build some pen, and shred some noobs with the
I
two.
I think definitely seeing him in the solo lane, allowing him to dive the back line more effectively, giving a little bit more build variety from that solo lane. Definitely a benefit. I also really like them going back to the Kumba. I loved what I saw from the Kumba last game, getting the early first blood with that upgraded sprint and just generally hitting the roots and allowing his team to do the damage. So far, really like Zodiac's draft here.
Yeah, pretty solid. They have a good dive potential solo that can disrupt the backline, along with Kumba again looking to peel their potential carries. Let's see if Chaos can play Kumba, which is a character who is passive aggressive compared to Athena. Athena is super aggressive. Maybe Chaos can pull this style of play with Kumba off and peel his team when needed.
Yeah, yet another steal. I think honestly, I think if we took that want more again, I think they're gonna need to pick it now. I think if they're not picking a mid laner here, I would expect them to ban out the Morgan and then maybe even ban the Giannis because that's the pick that he played last game. And if they don't pick out if they don't pick their mid laner here, I do expect them to throw some bans that way.
Yeah,
Spend
I
a
think that
lot of
that's the
time on this
discussion
pick.
going on about that particular pick. And I don't mind seeing another Morgan performance. Speaking of, they might opt for the Najah for maybe
Yeah.
support.
Looks like Naja gets locked in here. Still flex could definitely go either way. We've seen it both ways today. In terms of how their support was playing last game, very aggressively with the Kumbhakarna, I think I would rather see it in support here. I think an aggressive playing Naja, someone who can really get those ults off, really style through the early game. The only issue is that if they get to the late game, if they don't snowball like they did last game, it's going to be an issue with the peel late game. Bologna and Naja aren't known for their peel.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that. Hopefully, Najah finds a good home in this game and is able to carry out this game, whatever role she's going for. Right now, bans is also taking a bit of time. They're thinking through their bans, and we see this common repetition for NA. They usually ban Poseidon. Why do you think Poseidon is so valued in this rank or in these games?
I think Poseidon is just the quintessential one of the quintessential mid laners right now. He kind of brings everything. He has a cripple, which not a lot of characters have. He has displacement, which again, not a lot of mid laners have. Not a lot of mid laners can physically move people. He has a speed boost, and movement speed is very, very valuable right now. And then he has this ult, this giant ult that does damage, and with how much setup is being picked on their team, I can't imagine that they would let it through. You know, you can put a Poseidon ult at the bottom of a Neja ult. You can put a Poseidon ult at the bottom of a Bellona who's just ulted. You can even do it off of an Uller Axe. You know, just the smallest amount of setup can allow a character like that to do a ton of damage, and any CC can allow him to do his thing.
Yeah, and plus building full CDR with Poseidon is a nightmare to deal against. A beads burner and also an Aegis burner, almost every 30 seconds almost.
Yeah,
A very
yeah, tell
annoying
me about
character to face against. Right now, again, a thoughtful banning phase. Here, I want them to ban Morrigan as a respect ban. Not only respect ban, at the same time, Morrigan has really good transformation she can turn into from the Zodiac's team specifically. Speaking, the Jorm is really good to dive, even AMC on the clutch situation, or even
Yeah.
Kumba to get out. So far, but they opted to ban
Wow.
Sobek.
They opted to ban Sobek, and then it looks like I might be a little bit ahead of you, but it looks like Carnanos has now been locked in by We Took That. So not only are they going double Hunter, likely putting the Uller in mid, but just like the mistake that I believe Zodiac made last game, they're going for physical.
Yeah, but the only difference right now, what I'm seeing is, We Took That has a lot of physical damage at hand to use. Meanwhile, looking over to Zodiac, they have quite the opposite in a way. They have a balanced amount, I would say, right now with
If they pick the
the
soul, it's
AMC.
definitely a balanced amount. Yeah, they were hovering the Artemis there for a second.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're
Wasn't a
gonna
big
lock in
fan
this
of that.
Daji, but Daji is really good against them. I really like the Daji because Uller and Cernos inherently don't have any CC immune ults. So
Right.
they'll have to expend the beads to get out of those chains. So it's really looking good. It's a
Yeah, I'm a
really
big
good
fan of
pick.
the Dodgy as well. I can't get over this comp from We Took That. I'm not a fan of it at all. All of their
I
damage
agree.
dealers are physical. They've chosen to put the Neja in jungle, and the Neja has an ult that doesn't have much follow up. Uller does not have the best follow up. Kern has a little bit, but neither of them are even really comparable to a mage, especially early game. And again, I cannot say it enough. They don't have any magical damage. You know, you just start, you throw a Sov on the support, everybody throws Celestial Legion Helm as an option. You can even go Breastplate of Valor in mid. There are just so many options to counter build this, and unless they snowball towards the beginning of the game, I just can't see them winning this game.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like if Zodiac's team overvalues physical protection, they might overcap, and Titan's Bane can slice all that in half in just ability. So it depends on how you build also. Let's see where this game will head in the direction wise. We will get right into the game. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Game 2, set to potentially the last game of the night if We Took That can close it out.
Yeah.
Looks like they are up 1-0. Remember that, but still not a big fan of this comp. We were just talking about that as we left for the break. For a physical, the only way I see them winning this is if they can get off to a hot start. But they did that last game, so I'm not gonna speak too poorly of them just yet.
Great.
Nothing interesting off the start right here. Looks like pretty typical stuff.
We see Ifrey on Morgan last game, and right now he is on Uller, hoping a spectacular performance. nonetheless. Bellona is looking to pressure the speed this time around.
Yeah,
And
looks like smacking the soul. Looks like she started her one. Oh, and we see the soul in the mid lane now, and the AMC in the dual lane. That's actually the opposite of what I expected. But Jorm
Bellona
has
is
now
buying
come
some
over.
time.
Yeah, Bellona is buying a ton of time. She's got this double health bot ticking, so she's not taking a ton of damage. She might actually, if her slow comes up soon enough, she
I
might.
think she might steal this.
She
And she
does
indeed
steal the
does
speed buff,
steal
and
it.
she's just gonna keep fighting the soul. The soul Aegis's for no reason after the Bellona had already left.
And also the bludgeon down, right? Didn't he use it to Or no,
Yeah,
he has one.
he got the one. He got his
Yeah, he
shield
had the one.
but he had used that to secure it, so Bellona down he follow up. So just basically a wasted Aegis there. We can see if that really punishes him
Yeah, in a
in the
situation like
future.
that, where the solo laner is threatening your speed, like personal experience, it's better to just leave the buff its entirety and just go to your red buff and look to do your purple and that side of the jungle, regardless, instead of trying to be behind. Sometimes the
Right.
solo laner might not even get interested and might just leave because there's no point in trying. The
Looks like
only reason
Dodgy
he's
blinks
there.
in here on the dual lane, gets damage off onto
And
Cernanos. That's going to be first blood for Zodiac. And they
yeah,
might actually get the Geb here, but AMC missing a couple of autos. Yeah, unfortunate they aren't able to get the Geb there. But first blood for Zodiac, that's a very positive turnaround from last game where they got first blooded. Happy to see that.
Yeah, after the pressure exerted by we took that solo lane into their jungle, turning that around into a first blood
Yep.
is a really
Really big
successful
thing.
attempt. Yeah.
Neja is still ahead, in fact. Daji got first blood and Neja is still ahead. That's how impactful that speed buff invade was. But it definitely does. It goes a long way to still mitigate that.
Uller is playing pretty aggressive in mid, zoning out this early game Soul. But in a way, in this matchup, Soul versus Uller. Oh, hits the axe. Will he get the kill? Will he do the combo? Oh, close enough.
Very
But
close.
no cigar. Yeah.
Soul gets out with 10% health and she regens back up to 50%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Uller definitely does have pressure in this lane. And remember, Soul doesn't have Aegis. She used it earlier in the game. Still 60 seconds on that relic. So we can see if Uller is going to be able to make a play in the next minute here.
Yeah. And the relic
stance.
decision for Soul
He
is
does
really
hit the
arcing.
axe.
Did he
Doesn't
get the
have any
combo off?
cooldowns. Yeah, he doesn't have any cooldowns up. He hits the one, does a lot of damage. Oh, he hits the
Ooh.
3. Very
I
impressive from the
can't.
Uller. I'm not happy with that play from the Soul, you know?
No.
I mean, he hits the axe, right? That's fantastic, but he didn't have any cooldowns up. He used them all on the wave, and all Soul has to do there is just back up, but she stayed in range of the 1, she stayed in range of the 3, which is not good. All the while we're talking about that, we see a gank here in the solo lane, and Neja and Bellona are able to take out the drawing leader. So despite the early first blood, we took that has taken the next 2 kills and are now up by about 500 gold.
Yeah, Zodiac seems to get some pressure in the dual lane side. I also do not agree with the relic choices that Soul has made by opting for that Aegis, right? The Neja is looking to ult.
Oh, it looks like there's a fight going on in the dual lane.
Ooh, the
And
tower gets the last of Zerkrax.
I think Daji may have... Nope, Daji's blink is still up, so she may have used her 3 to dive in there, but just they were already under tower, you know, just not a great gank. But Neja comes over here
comes the
and
counter gun.
punishes the dual lane that's pushed up towards the tower. Gets a 3-man mez off from the Kumba, and after AMC beads and they end up okay.
Has at the same time the fight was going on duo, the mid Uller was aggressing into the Soul, also who ended up using her Aegis in attempts to save her life. Really aggressive
3 levels
play,
ahead is this Uller, and that's all we've seen from Uller all day. Both Ullers that we've seen have been 3 levels ahead in their respective lanes at some point or another. So.
Yeah, NA seems to really love their Ullers and also seem to be having a good performance in playing this
Definitely
character.
A popular pick. Uller hits the axe, hits the 1, and Daji 3's in, but Uller misses his own 3 on the Daji's to punish that kill.
Frey is just fearless. He's just
Yeah, he's
WT and built.
definitely he's playing very well. I think he played the Morrigan fantastically, and I think honestly on this Uller he's exerting just the right amount of pressure. But as soon as Daji enters that lane, you see him back up almost to his tower. He's giving them the right amount of respect, not making any super dangerous plays. I'm in love. I'm a massive fan.
Agreed. I don't like the AMC pushing up into the middle of the lane. I know he's on his side of the jungle, but still, he's so prone to dying. But because of his hives, he has that sort of mobility aspect that you can run out if he's in danger.
For
At the same,
sure.
nothing much going on. They might soon look to set up for Gold Fury after one of these fights going
Possibly.
south.
It's real early in the game, so we could see that, but I think it would take somebody winning a fight
Yeah.
to really see that. Looks like Uller has chosen, instead of going into boots first, to go Mage's Blessing, just like we saw earlier, into the completed trans off of his solo kill on the soul. He jumps in, but he misses the axe on the soul, unfortunately. Still, I mean, look at that. 2 levels ahead, full trans. He does half of Soul's HP with one of his bladed arrows. That's just, man.
And plus, he's ahead 2 levels up on the soul. The soul is getting a beating. Even last
Najee
game.
ults in the mid lane. Hits one of the chains on Naja. Does not have beat
Connect.
for the Naja. Luckily, he's able to ult away.
Ooh, Soul should
Kumba
have been ready
actually-
with that ult.
Yeah, for sure. Soul doesn't look like she has any mana.
I
She's
think
right out of
Cerno's
melee.
coming around the back and looks for initiation going on. Looks like
Oh,
kill
yeah.
happening.
Does hit the
Connects,
dodgy with
but
the 2. Oh my
and
goodness.
the hail of arrows. Or no, the one.
Yeah, I'm
It
not sure
connects.
which ability it was,
Yeah.
but Kernos comes from the backline, makes a little bit of a solo play, hits the 2, hits the ultimate just barely on Daji, and Daji is forced to either walk back into the Kernos and take autos, or walk in front and take the other combo. This is what we were just talking about with the AMC
Blinking
not
by
having
Nasha on
mobility.
dual lane. Here we can see the AMC looks like he's gonna hit the ground and he have to run forward here. There's nowhere else for him to run because he got ganked from behind. But the Kumba comes in for the peel. And he's going running back into Uller. The good cleanup by Chaos over there. Uller is still chasing this AMC.
Looking to hit the axe, he does, and that's gonna be a
Next,
kill.
and that's the game.
Look,
That's the match.
just like we were talking about, the AMC, the lack of mobility. He I don't even think he had full boots in that fight. He might have. I might be wrong. But even if he did, AMC, lack of mobility, being pushed up over halfway in a lane, it's just not a good look. I'm not a fan of it. I never will be. The fact that he managed to get out there is less props to him, more props to Kumba. Kumba hits a 3-man mez, hits an ult on Naja, turns down and hits a root on Naja, and just gets a kill. Gets a 1v3 kill on Naja. I mean, that's just insane. And then AMC makes another passing
Another play coming on from Sucks onto the solo lane. Oh, and guys, destroyed by the tower, and also Phantom just ganks and just kills the Jorm on the other side.
Onoski almost dies, but man, that is yet another. That is the second time that this Daji has died to a tower, and yet another solo kill from the Uller. Now, here's what surprises me: we're seeing kind of a similar thing as we did in Game 1. We're kind of seeing we took that stomp this game, but they're only 2k gold up. They haven't gotten any major objectives yet.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's just 8 minutes and 2k up is really impressive in my eyes. And Zuckrax is really desperate in trying to make these plays, which end up costing his non-lead and also like giving the extra bit of farm to the other team. Really lucky. The Bellona was really lucky in not dying. Maybe, ooh, nice jump by the Uller to evade that 3.
And as that's happening, the
Zorn has to, on the other side of the map,
managed to get a kill on the AMC.
And meanwhile, being aggressive on the solo side, Jorn had to ult out the pressure of Nasha and Bellona. This is the thing, right? The Kumba is not there to hold
another
AMC's hand. Oh my god. Freya is MVP of this whole 2 sets if they were able to win this. It's just popping off. Just pushing his lead and hitting his combos back to back.
Yeah.
Really, there's nothing he can do.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's just they're exerting so much pressure everywhere on the map. We saw Karnanos get 2v1'd, we saw Jorm get 2v1'd on the other side of the map, get his ult forced out, and then Uller doesn't even need a second player. He just gets a solo kill. That's his third of the game.
And the map is spread too thin for Zodiac, and plus they're behind for them to make any impact. And we took that as playing to their strength.
Up here, it's trying to steal the purple buff. Maybe a little bit of a
She might end up hitting the ground here. Don't know what's gonna happen. Uller is wrapping around the back.
Cleanses the dodge ult and is able to make them not only waste the dodge ult, but waste the AMC ult. And Uller comes in from behind, hits the axe, hits the combo, jumps in onto the AMC. I don't know if they're gonna get this kill, but it takes the tower down.
Yeah, AMC beats that and Khan got out. And shields come in to play. Nothing else is gonna happen. I think it's gonna be a stall. Right now, they might look at Gold Fury now. Whoa!
Yeah, they should definitely look at Gold Fury now.
They got a kill on that as well. Put him on his passive. I don't know if they should go for Gold here. Actually, yeah, going for the typical play. Totally in the typical skirmish going over there. It was a really good fight for We Took That.
Yeah, it was a fantastic. Naja plays a little bit too aggressive in my mind by trying to go for the purple buff when two people were in lane. But, wow.
Yeah, Zacharias comes up and cleans up. I think he got lost. He got a little bit of, cornered there in his vision. Because he definitely could have gone into the Naja who was backing right in front of him instead of trying to chase the almost full health Sononos.
Yeah.
But all in all, got the support. It's not the biggest thing.
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, Naja makes, I think, a little bit of a bad play, and he doesn't have beads, he has blink. So Daji ults, and he's getting ready to pull him back in right into the AMC ult, and Geb comes around, hits a nice shield, and they just are able to turn the fight. Uller makes a very nice rotation. I think Sol was backing to base and wasn't able to be there. But yeah, they just come over.
Wrapped around the back.
Steals the red with a bladed arrow, dude.
Ooh.
Wow, but he's getting 4v1, might get pulled back in, and he will, and they get this shut down on the Uller.
That's massive.
Yeah, he was 7-0, so getting that shut down is very good. Getting some gold on every one of the players. But again, the big thing here, he stole the red. And that's really all that matters. It's really all that matters.
It's the mind games that wins the game at the end. We all know this.
Yep.
Anyway, that was Uller's beats. Around next time, should be really careful in playing aggressive like he has been, or else might get picked by this Daji. Daji caught up because of that. He
Looks
was
like they might try
behind.
and gank the Kernanos here. Daji threes in, but Kernanos dashes right through and is able to...
Yeah, they were scared. They didn't have vision, so they expected a rotation from the We Took That team, but it could have gone into if they had much more information. Good attempt.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's good that they're looking for these plays, but at this point, they are very far down. 13 minutes to game, 4K down. Definitely a lead that you should be concerned about. I'm surprised that they haven't gone for Pyromancer, though, in all honesty. It seems to be a completely free objective.
They're grouping up in the middle lane, and looks like they want to pressure this mid-tier 2 tower at 13 minutes in the game.
Double hunters right here.
And he hits the chains. He's gonna 100% get pulled here. Geb was nowhere near and has to spend the Aegis, and looks like he'll be hitting the floor. Yeah. He should be dying here. There's no other way. Yeah. Exactly. Took a very wrong fight.
Get pulled. Yeah, I mean, great play from the Daji to take advantage. That's twice now. So they got Uller beads a while ago, and now Uller's 2 deaths have been while his beads are down. So great plays from the Daji to be able to focus on that bead timer and take advantage of it being down. Massive props to that. I still don't dislike the play from the Uller and the Kernanos, right? Because that's the advantage of having double hunters, is your tower pressure and your objective pressure. So
yeah,
I think that.
But I'd rather follow the lead, right? I rather would follow the lead of my Geb instead of my Naja, because my Geb will be the one who will be cleansing me when my beads are down. So them being aggressive at that tier 2 without the Geb was on its way. They just had to wait a little bit. If they just waited, had they waited, it would have been a smoother fight. Now they're speaking of Pyro that you mentioned, they're attempting it right now. They're going for this Pyro
Yeah,
and trying to
man,
pick
it's
this up.
taking Neja a little bit, but I don't think that Jorm has any idea that
Yeah.
so should be just pretty free.
I
I'm
can't spectate a
interested.
Jorm. Like,
So,
it's so funny. Yeah.
what? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Jorm. I was gonna comment on the Jorms. Oh nope. Who gets a
Ooh.
kill? They
It's a mid lane
triple
fight.
gang,
Skirmish.
killing right or killing left, but they managed to trade that out and get a kill in mid. Sorry, a lot was happening there. So they
Yeah.
3-man gank the Kernanos in left. He's been alone for a long time. They've tried to gank him several times. They finally bring the AMC and the Daji and the Kumba over there. They managed to get the kill. That's great. But at the same time, because they bring all the people over there, Soul gets caught out in mid and she doesn't have any help. And obviously, we're just, expanding on the other's lead here. He's now 4 levels ahead. And that's just going to get worse. Just going to get worse.
For Zodiac, being able to even get the Sereno skill is massive enough. Anything they can get off the map, it'll be huge for Zodiac. Anything to get gold off of
To
is the
stem the
best thing they
bleeding, yep.
can.
Yep, because they've kept it at this 4K gold lead. It could be a lot worse. But they've generally kept it down here. But right now it's not. I mean, really, they can hold the game. I'm really truly am convinced that if they manage to hold on to the game here and just get it towards the late game.
Yeah, Daji seems like he caught off Uller, off God, and got the kill there. Really good. I know you're ahead. Like this is the mentality. Usually, when you're ahead, you get like a little bit ahead of yourself and try to make plays or be more aggressive around the map. But if you're playing in a team environment, you really can't do that because you might be susceptible to much more rotations coming in. Speaking of, there's a fight trying to go onto this Jorm. His team is rotating onto this fight here. Daiji goes up in the air and pulls back. And Tina ults to stun this Kumba around the back. Seems like Serenos will get out of harm's way, but Daji keeps chasing onto this, and Kumba Draghi strikes up Valona with no escape on the ult, with her ult being down. She might also go down, but nice mez by the Kumba to cancel out her too.
Yeah,
and
a lot going on. Oceanus rotates over to get that tier 1 tower. A little bit of an odd rotation. Don't very often see solo laners, or I'm sorry, ADCs in the solo lane. But it does end up working at first, but great rotation. 4 people automatically appear from the jungle here. Managed to pull in Kronos because he's lacking beads. Beads coming up right now, in fact. Pull him back in, get that kill. I'm very surprised Daji was able to survive. We saw her 1 tower hit away from death right over in between the tier 1 and tier 2 towers in solo lane. But very good that she survived for sure for the benefit of the team.
Yeah, Daji is the only prominent member in team that, aside from the laners, ahead. That's a good sign. Not completely behind in jungle. As Daji, you don't want to be even or behind. It's kind of lackluster in a way. Daji but over time she does scale up, and she does a lot of damage with her 1 being active. Right now, we took that. Looks like they're grouping up to get this Primal Fury.
Yeah,
And Zodiac does have an idea on this. They're also grouping up. Jorm is coming into this fight right now, but Zodiac's team is nowhere near. Only team members against 5. Will they be
Blue team manages to get the Gold Fury, but Bellona ults into the backline and kills the Soul. Jorm is still ulting, and he manages to pull back in the Geb, though, the Daji does. But Geb ults as soon as he gets pulled back in, and Daji gets collapsed upon. Jorm is now in here with no escape, but it doesn't look like the red team wants to commit anything else. I don't know if they're going to keep going on this. Uller doesn't have any cooldowns. He's waiting on this. He does miss the axe. Kumba ults to Bellona into the air, but doesn't take a ton of damage from that. But Jorm's in the backline just taking basics from the Uller. And again, Naja comes in from the backline and takes a lot of damage and actually dies to the bees from AMC. Just a very disorganized fight there in my mind. The target focus is really, really lacking. And AMC comes in and he manages to get the kill to save his Kumbhakarna while Uller comes over and I guess 1v1s the Jorm, who is already at low health. And AMC just follows the Bellona and manages to get his own triple kill after saving his Kumbo yet again.
Yeah. That fight was so good on Zodiac's part, the initiation. The sad part was that Zodiac's team, the AMC and Kumba, were backing in base, and they were just making their way over to that Gold Fury. Had they been there sooner, this fight would have been on Zodiac's favor, 100%, because of the damage that they were doing, and in the position wise, we took that were spread thin. Naja tried to come from behind and going to try to catch this AMC off guard, but little did they know the front line of we took that fell apart as fast as you can blink, and that made Nasha positioning really awkward. Speaking of in that fight, when Bologna got pulled, AMC tried to alter, kind of missed. So that was a huge fight in delaying her death, but eventually got that triple onto her. All in all, it is a very successful fight for Zodiac in being behind. That they caught up. Now they're only 2K down. So it was a successful fight in my eyes. What do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just I don't know. I mean, they don't have the secure for the Gold Fury. Oler really needs to be the one to secure that, and they don't do it properly. They use all their cooldowns before. And because of that, Soul is just able to ult in and really easily secure that buff. And then after that, the fight just goes kind of nowhere. There's a lot of standing around while people are waiting for their cooldowns, but after that, they go in one by one. We see Naja coming from the back line, and he gets melted without any help from his team. And then Bologna goes in, and she dies next. Granted, after killing Kumba, but that's why Kumba passive exists, you know? AMC just doesn't get focused at all. He leaves that fight legitimately with full health after getting a triple kill, and that's just nuts to me. No proper target focus in my mind.
Yeah, for we took that for a team being so praised for their teamwork and comms in general. That was a really sloppy fight, and calls on target were really off, and they managed to lose that off because of it. And right now it's typical. They got the Pyromancer while everything was else going on. Zodiac didn't even bother after that fight to go on and check jungle or do anything else. They just backed off. Could have been looking for more opportunities in where they could have looked Pyro, but as we know, some of their members hit the ground there.
Yeah.
Right now, chilling, nothing much going on. Jorm is rotating here and there. The sock skin did. It's so nice. It's so funny. It's so
I'm
cute.
not really a big fan of the Kumba build. I don't like Height of the Urchin in general on support, but I don't like it even more here because all of their damage is physical. Like, you should really just be stacking mid Guardian Mail. Even throwing a Breastplate of Valor on there would be good. Kumba loves to have that CDR, and you don't need the magical
isolated. Looks like a fight is starting. From the back end comes Theranos, and his ult hits into 3 members of the team. Soul had to beat there, I believe. No, he just 3'd out of there. Jorm is ulting in the backline. Daji is looking for an ult connect. Will he hit anyone? He hits 2 members. And will they actually hit the ground? Yes, Daji connects and gets Gab. But Daji in return hits the ground against the Bologna ult. Nasha connects the ult and it actually gets... Oh, that's all over the place. Such a mess of a fight.
Here at the tail end of the fight. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate everything that they did in that fight, they being the blue team Zodiac here, but a lot of their ults were very separate from each other. Soul used her ult to peel herself. Daji used her ult, and she hit 2 people, but the Soul ult...
Before the steal, here comes the steal.
Oh yeah,
they're actually respecting this AMC damage. Yeah, actually respecting that damage.
And that's what they did in the first game, right? That is like exactly, as soon as you see the AMC, you have to have that communication. You have to have that call to either commit on the Fire Giant or commit on the AMC. They did a perfect job of zoning him there.
Yeah, I like that 2 members decided to get off from the Fire Giant first and zone him off, knowing that the rest of his team is dead and he's the only one trying to attempt to do any damage to the steal.
In that fight near the Fire Giant, all of the ults individually were okay. Jorm was ulting the backline, Daji hit an ult on 2 people, Soul ulted for peel, and then Kumba also hit an ult on a carry, right? All of their ults individually were actually okay. The problem is, The whole point of that Daji ult is to get follow-up. If there's no follow-up to that Daji ult, Daji is now stuck in the backline, and as such, Bellona just ups downs after she gets pulled and she gets melted, which is no surprise to me, right? And so just a little bit of a lack of communication, lack of synergy, I guess. A lot of that. It was a close fight. It was a close fight. It looked like it wasn't a close fight because obviously 4 members died compared to 1 member dying, but it really was a lot closer than it looked, I think.
Yeah, with the health bars on, we took that also being below half the threshold. It really did look like it was a close fight there. I feel like if the Soul ult was available along with the Daiji ult combo, I think that fight would have taken a massive turn towards favoring Zodiac. Going in right now, Bellona is pressuring at their side of the jungle towards speed, looking to siege this tier 2 mid tower. I hope they don't commit and do the mistake last time. Dashi goes up into his Palau and looks for a pull and pulls to Bellona.
Salt still. Not sure what she's going to do with that ult. Kumba ults to Bellona. Soul mistimes the 2, doesn't hit anything there, but Bellona up downs onto the Kumba, does get a lot of damage off, but all this time, Jorm's ulting in the backline. So Zodiac's carries, we took that's carries just aren't able to follow up because of the Jorm zoning.
Yeah, but here now, they should look to back off and look to reset the fight and look to defend these Phoenixes.
Looks like they're gonna push down for Phoenix now. They do have a wave coming up. I would really like to see the Geb just push in here and ult somebody, but it looks like they're gonna back off, go for the tier 2. This is definitely the safer play.
Yeah, I agree. But Kuma shouldn't have stayed there. He kind of stayed there a little bit thinking that they might aggress on the Phoenix. He should have backed immediately. It's a rookie mistake that I see on games. It's when you lost the fight, it's better off to heal instead of watching somebody like trying to get into your own Phoenix line. It's better you try to get healthy and be in the fight ASAP than trying to look for them and prepare for that.
Yeah,
and giving them a possible death.
I really think that we took that as missed an opportunity here. As soon as they go for the tier 2 tower, they don't lose anything. Legitimately, in the tier 2 tower siege, all they used was Bellona ult, and the Zodiac team used every single one of their ultimates. And so they had a real advantage there. I think that if they had just walked into Phoenix and used their ult advantage to their advantage, I think that they win that fight 100%.
Yeah. Right now, the pillar of this team, no pun intended, is Daji. So hopefully, as long as she hits these prominent ults, looks like the only saving grace for Zodiac, because most of the time Regal has Soul is not ulting on follow-up in response to the Daji ult, Paolo, more of a defensive ult to get out of danger. So whenever the Soul is in position to ult for damage, I think they might turn around the fight. But Bellona seems like she's so tanky right now. There's so much they can kill her. And without any op shard, I don't expect we took that front line to go down that fast.
Yeah, really interesting builds from Bellona. We see, reinforced Greaves. We see a late Hide of the Urchin. We see a Breastplate of Valor, which we don't see too often from Bellona's, but it's a very, very tanky build. Normally we're seeing Ninja Tabi and we're seeing Berserker Shield, more aggressive items from a Bellona, but she really just she knows that she's going to get pulled out of the Daji ult every time, and she just wants to survive. And that's what she did that fight, and they won because of it.
Yeah, I'm just concerned. At this point, it doesn't matter what you're building. Like, the carry should have your Titan's Bane and your off shards out. And so far, Zodiac, I'm not seeing that, and I need that. I need to see that. That's the only hope of defense that they can go through, because the tanks are really, unkillable at this point with the build pattern that they're going for.
I completely agree. I'm not a fan of their builds. Period. Oh man, looks like they just shredded the Fire Giant there. Jorm ults, but he's unfortunately a little bit too late. He might get caught out here, actually.
I think
His
he
ult
will.
did not reach the tower, and he gets CC chain and just deleted off of the map, and that should be an easy Phoenix siege in my mind.
Daja blinks in. Paolo by Daji. Will it connect? It hits, but doesn't. Bellona up downs, and also Sereno's ult connects to 2 members of Zodiac, and they're on the chase. On killing these members, Kumba decided to pop Sprinzy, but it didn't connect to anything. And Soul ult completely whiffed onto the Naja, and Soul hits the ground as well. Such a cluttered fight there. Unfortunate for Zodiac. Seems like We Took That is taking game 2 from this set as well, and we be the winners
Quick
of this.
2-0. Very impressive from We Took That. I got to give a quick shout out to my boy Geb. I'm a support man myself. My boy Geb just saved Naja twice in that fight. He cleanses him from the dodgy pull. He shells him to prevent him from dying at the very end right there. So massive props. I'm a big fan of supports saving their carries. But yeah, overall, in general, in that fight, as soon as Jorm got picked, it becomes a 4v5, and they have Frenzy and Double Hunter. I don't think that they had any chance there to try defending that Phoenix. They really should have just let it go. And so as soon as they defend it, as soon as Daji is left without an ult in that fight, everybody just gets collapsed on. Naja even misses his ult, and the fight still goes their way. So.
Yeah. As soon as Fire Giant went down, it was a mistake for the Jorm or Jamin to just ult into the pit, trying to get any sort of damage off. That's not really the idea, because if the way you're building also affects the damage you're doing, and looking at the Jorm build, you're not likely to do damage with the ult. So that was his biggest mistake. Since he went to the ult, he felt like since the ult covers a large distance, he felt like he might got out, but at the end, there's so much his ult can cover, and end up coming back to where his team was getting chased out and got caught out, making it a 4v5. And then once you have Fire Giant and a 4v5 towards almost the end of the game with no towers, it's kind of a rough ending with no front line.
For sure.
Along with it, I'm just disappointed on the carries of Zodiac. Really, they should had, Dashi was building towards Titan's Bane, but AMC should have had it. Soul should have had Upshot before Spear of Magus, and also Bancrofts was not really the play here. Should have gone for maybe Demonic or a much better item in terms of power, and not Bancrofts, because they already had kind of anti-heal in the other team in forms of brawlers. I don't think they have a Pestilence. No, yes, they don't. But still, the way she was getting off guard, I'd rather her go to a safer option instead of Bancroft's. Even though like Bancroft's helps in sustaining, but she didn't use it to her full potential. Dashi was the playmaker for Zodiac. Unfortunately, didn't was not able to carry this game out. I like Kumbhakarna's build, but as you said, the Ulrich, the height of the Ulrich, is not the best option. If I was the support for Zodiac, I would look for a Midgardian male, personally,
For sure.
along with, yeah, or even on Jorm. The Midgardian male along with Witchblade would have helped their siege potential, like like make it harder because of the attack speed slow. But at the end of the day, when Jorm gets picked like that, I don't think the fight goes any worse than that. So I think that's the better team. Just seem to have won it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think the better team came out on top here.
Yeah. So
Anyways, I think that's it for us today. Fun 2 sets to watch.